Welcome back to Sparking a Conversation, a podcast produced by the Sponsored Administration and Research Compliance Office, hosted by yours, Preston Miller. Today we have Dr. Pramod Mahajan, an associate professor of pharmacology in the Pharmaceutical Sciences Department within the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. Pramod is here today to discuss his various projects that have been funded by both federal and state organizations. Pramod, could you just introduce yourself a little bit to the audience and tell us a little bit about what you do here at Drake?
Yes, thank you for this opportunity, Preston, to share my thoughts about what I do at Drake and my research interests and research accomplishments. So, as you said, Preston, my name is Pramod Mahajan, and I am a professor in the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. I joined Drake in 2008. Before joining Drake, I was working in a private biotechnology industry, and then moved to academia. Over the last 40 plus years of my postdoctoral career, I have worked both in the private sector and in academia, about equally divided, 20 years each roughly. And that's largely because of my interests in using academic knowledge for applied research. And so it has been a very interesting journey, sometimes focused only on academic research and sometimes focused only on the applied part of the research. And so I have worked in general in life sciences. I'm a biochemist by training, became a molecular biologist by necessity. But I really am a biologist at heart because I love life sciences and love solving puzzles or problems related to life sciences. At Drake, I've been fortunate to have excellent students, both in the pharmacy program as well as outside the pharmacy program, who have helped continue my research interests, although my teaching responsibilities are focused primarily on the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. I teach biochemistry and genomics to the pharmacy students primarily.
And thank you for sharing that with us. And kind of given your lengthy career here at Drake, what brought you into the grant realm or area or aspects within your career?
So, as you know, Preston, research, especially the life sciences research, which is lab-based, does require funding support because we have to have reagents, we have to have equipment to conduct these experiments, we have to have models. Sometimes they are cell culture models, sometimes they are animal models. And using those models and maintaining them for a long period of time, again, you need funding. Drake being not an R1 institution, has limited funding resources, and they encourage faculty members to go out and seek funding sources. And so using my previous experience, immediately after joining Drake University, we proposed setting up of a pharmacogenomics teaching and research core facility. And we were fortunate to have support from one of the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences alums, Dr. Ellis and his family, and they gave a very generous grant, which was matched by some state funds and the federal funds that I was able to garner through grants, primarily with the intention of setting up a teaching and research facility where students and faculty from across the campus could come in and use the core facility lab for doing cell culture, for doing genomic DNA isolation, DNA characterization, RNA isolation characterization, and a variety of biochemical and cell biological type of manipulations of their samples. And so that was one of the early accomplishments, I would say, after joining at Drake. And that was primarily a need-based proposal. We simply needed to do that. We just did not have enough space that was suitable for the kind of laboratory experiments that we were interested in doing, and also provide that kind of a modern facility for training our students. And moving forward, because of the community involvement that Drake encourages, we were also able to, moving forward, we were able to utilize that space for training students from area high school, middle school, as well as educators from the area high school and middle schools. That was one of the goals of setting up that laboratory.
Very, very interesting. And digging a little bit more into your community outreach and impact with these area schools and educators, could you just describe to us a little bit more about this project and any awards that have been related to it?
So that's a very good question. As I said, my research interests have been primarily in the life sciences, but also life science education. It happens to be an important area of interest for me because, again, that's a need. The overall interest of the U.S. Young students in basic sciences has been declining for some time now, and realizing that. Many thought leaders in this area have proposed different mechanisms of attracting younger students to STEM education. Because that was such a close topic to my heart, I decided to also utilize the opportunity that we had already established the pharmacogenomics lab, which was going to serve as a core facility for training students and teachers. And with the help of another funding agency called Iowa Space Grant Consortium, which is a NASA establishment at the state level. And with their support, we were able to apply for small grants for curriculum development. And through a series of 3 or 4 different small grants, we were able to first develop a curriculum for training teachers in the area of genomics. Genomics is something that happens to be a strength of mine that I brought to the Drake University campus, and using that approach, then we were able to develop a curriculum specifically focused on middle school and high school teachers, training middle school and high school teachers in the area of genomics. To be able to do that, we developed an indigenous kit. It was the goal was to come up with a sort of a packaged deal for the middle school and high school STEM teachers, which they could carry with them to their institutions, their schools, wherever they go, and train their students. So that is where the SoapyCilantro project was born. SoapyCilantro is a very facile, very easy to do genomic technology or genomic tool to attract young students to genomic education. And we were able to do both the teacher training as well as the development of that kit using funding support from the Iowa Space Grant Consortium. Once the kit and the training protocol was developed, we then applied for additional funding support from the Iowa Governor's STEM Council. That was offering training programs for middle school and high school teachers. And putting these two together, then we were able to conduct So far, we have conducted 5 different sessions. The first one of those was sort of a beta tester. So we recruited a group of volunteer teachers from the area middle school and high schools, and provided that training to them over the summer. It's a week-long training program. And literally, the first group of teachers included teachers who had graduated from college 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, when nothing about the genomics field was known. They just did not have any idea of how to isolate DNA, how to analyze DNA. And so we were able to provide that kind of a hands-on training to the teachers. And the response that we got was tremendous. And we knew that there was a need. So we decided to continue that with the support from the Governor's STEM Council. We were able to apply for more funding over the next 2 years. And we're able to train 4 more batches. So far, over the last 6 years now, we have trained close to 50 teachers, middle school and high school teachers across Iowa. And now they are able to conduct these practicums in their school. We provide them the equipment, the reagents, everything in the form of a kit. And then they conduct those training courses at their schools in the regular school time as part of their regular school curriculum. The curriculum that we developed fulfills the Iowa middle school and high school science education requirements, and so it has been very effective in training students at that level.
And would you be able to tell me about how many districts you provided your SoapyCilantro services to?
Yes, over the last 5 years, we have 39 school districts across Iowa, where we have provided the training to the teachers across Iowa, 39 different school districts. Our goal is to at least expand it at the state level, and all the school districts. I believe there are close to 370 plus school districts across Iowa, and we would love to expand it to all the school districts across Iowa, as well as to the neighboring states as well.
Thinking about this project a little bit more, what do you see as potential impacts that your research has on your field?
We believe that the SoapyCilantro project has a twofold impact, at least a twofold impact. One, to give you a little bit background on what SoapyCilantro is, we know that everyone in the United States knows what cilantro is. It's a common spice, but not everyone may know that about 10% of the population in the United States does not like cilantro as a spice. That is because they taste cilantro like a soap. Yeah.
Why is
this is because of a genetic variation in these individuals. They just have a gene that differs by one letter from those individuals who like the cilantro as a spice. And this single change of that one letter in the receptor for the cilantro spice makes them taste cilantro like soap, and they really do not like it at all. I wouldn't either if I was tasting soap, and so I can't blame them. So, but because of that, they do not like this, and the beauty of our tool technology is that we are using this very simple, innocuous but biologically real genetic test to teach complex genetic principles to the students. The genetics of this SoapyCilantro trait or characteristic is exactly like the genetics for say cystic fibrosis or sickle cell anemia or some such many such diseases that are inherited Unfortunately, there are many such single nucleotide polymorphism disorders or diseases in the population. But for ethical and legal reasons, we cannot ask a student or a teacher to talk about their genetics associated with that disease. However, nobody should have any objection related to a trait such as whether an individual tastes cilantro like soap or not. So we are using the cilantro gene or the testing gene for cilantro as a biological surrogate for the complex disorders and diseases such as cystic fibrosis and sickle cell anemia. And using that as a surrogate, then we use the similar technology that the hospitals might be using to test if an individual has a sickle cell disease or not. But the beauty of this is it gets us around all those ethical and legal questions or issues, but at the same time allows us to carry out the experiments exactly like those required for characterizing those diseases. Additionally, when you get a 6th grader, 5th grader, or an 8th grader involved in such experiments, when you ask them to spit in a tube and isolate their own DNA and then analyze their own DNA and visually actually look at their own DNA, the impact this has on the ability of these students to think about these issues, to think about such complex disorders, to think about the ethical and the legal complications around those, has a tremendous educational impact on those students. And our hope is, and there is evidence in the literature to indicate that when you do something with your own hands, it gets you more interested in continuing that kind of a study area. And so our goal is to attract these students to genomic education because there is need for these workers in the field. So there is that two-pronged approach we're using. We're getting them educated, and then we're also getting them attracted to the field in this area. I hope I answered your question.
No, that was fabulous. And just segueing it a little bit more then, so how or what sort of benefits has this project brought to Drake University itself?
I would like to think that this has definitely helped spread the word about the type of education that Drake offers to the students. And as of today, there is probably 2,500 to 3,000 students in and around Iowa that have a piece of paper that has the Drake logo on it because we printed the protocols and gave them the SoapyCilantro logo with the Drake name on it. And so this has a tremendous potential to attract young and talented students across Iowa to Drake. And in this day and age where everybody is looking to increase their enrollment, I think this would be a very important contribution to the university, number one. Number two, certainly it has brought funding, although not in $1 million terms. Certainly significant amount of funding has been brought to the Drake University. And finally, the community service that we are offering by training the teachers and making those contacts and reestablishing those contacts, and that definitely has added to the prestige and prestige of Drake University, I would say.
Thank you for that. And shifting focus just a little bit, knowing the amount of time you've taken to establish SoapyCilantro for what it is today, were there any particular challenges that you faced during the grant application processes or just the process in general that you would like to share?
Oh, yes. So there were many challenges, starting with just looking for the funding sources. Where do we get this funding? Just having an idea is not enough. We have to have funding to continue to support the project. And I can't thank the Office of Sponsored Programs and Research at Drake University. The staff at the Sponsored Programs Office has been so helpful, both in terms of, and this precedes your arrival at this office, but certainly has been revitalized since you have joined, Preston. And
thank you.
Really appreciate your support, both in terms of finding funding sources, and once the funding source is found, getting our proposals ready, getting the budgets ready. So all the pre-application processes, there's tremendous help. And of course, once the grants are funded, managing those grants is another important challenge that we personally need help for. So that's one thing. The second challenge, I would say, was getting the word out, getting the word about the program out. And again, there we sought help from the Governor's STEM Council. I personally was also involved in the STEM education before coming to Drake, so I've had contacts with several STEM teachers across in the Des Moines metro area. We're sort of a unofficial consortium of STEM teachers, get together sometimes, meet somewhere, and so establishing those contacts was challenging, especially through the COVID years. It was challenging.
Right.
Another challenging aspect of this was actually conducting the workshops. There is just one of me, and I could not have done all of these things without the tremendous support I got from a handful of very talented students from Drake University. These students just happened to be working in my lab on different projects, but they were so enthusiastic and willingly putting in time and running around and putting together all these protocols and making copies and actually holding hands and teaching some of these teachers how to adjust the micropipettes and how to add reagents and solutions and things like that. And so that was another challenge, but that was thankfully solved by the enthusiastic group of 4 or 5 students, both students from the pharmacy program as well as students from the biology and BCMB program at Drake University. The last challenge, which actually continues to be a challenge, is finding sufficient funding support, that is. As we do think that the SoapyCilantro program has a tremendous potential.
Yeah.
From time to time, I get queries from either students or teachers. You would be surprised, maybe I already shared this with you, but you'll be surprised to know that one fine afternoon, a year ago or 2 years ago maybe, I got a call from a teacher in Philadelphia.
Right.
She had somehow found out about SoapyCilantro through the company that works with us to provide us reagents. And she was interested in doing this on her own. And the salesperson at the company said, "Oh, why do you want to reinvent this? I know a guy who is doing this every day. Maybe you can talk to him." And so he provided he asked me if we could provide my contact information to the teacher. And I was so thrilled that the word was getting around. But unfortunately, because of the distance, the teacher was not able to come here for the training program. So the next phase of the SoapyCilantro project that we are thinking about is to try to make it available online. And our goal is then to come up with sufficient funding support to be able to provide this training online as well as in person, depending on the need. So that was another challenge to try to come up with a new protocol for making the training online.
And I guess just thinking about it a little bit more, you talk about your next phase is you wanted to have it web-based, and what's the goal of shifting your training or instructional material of SoapyCilantro from a hands-on to a web-based format?
Our goal, our dream, really, I should say, is to one day see that SoapyCilantro is done across the United States. SoapyCilantro is utilized, the kit is utilized across the United States in every school, because we know that the talent lies everywhere. There are no geographical boundaries for a talent. There are no financial boundaries. There shouldn't be any financial boundaries for talent. The talent is everywhere in every part of the country. But sometimes the talent seekers fail to reach the sources. And I think that with the help of the online program, we will be able to reach people wherever they are. The kit that we have developed is so self-sufficient that we do not need a very sophisticated laboratory. We do not need a huge set of equipment. All we are asking for is an electrical outlet. Everything else is provided in the kit. So literally this can be done in the middle of a cornfield in Nebraska, or in the middle of a soybean field in Kansas. Excuse me. So the idea behind making it web-based is to reach remote parts of the country, rural, and to overcome that rural-urban divide. Students who are, or the schools that are in the shadow of big institutions like NIH and Mayo Clinic and big universities may have the physical proximity to those institutions and may benefit from that. But there is tremendous talent in rural parts of the country as well. And reaching them and making them this technology available is our goal, and that's achievable using the online mechanisms.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And just given your obviously wide breadth of experience, what sort of advice would you give other researchers who are interested in applying for STEM-related or STEM and education-related grant opportunities?
The first thing I would advise them is to define what area you would like to focus on, define which specific, because STEM is a very broad field, and it is important to figure out that specific part of your expertise, that part that you have passion for, and then continue to expand that. Seek support from the available resources. The institution, Drake, has tremendous support facilities, support programs. So again, I will name your department or your group, and instead of trying to do something on your own and struggling, I would recommend that they seek help from experts, and both for seeking funding sources as well as for applying for those funding sources. Number two, do not get discouraged if you don't succeed the first time. Nothing succeeds first time. And continue to work towards your goal without regard for the failure. Learn from the failure, but keep working at it and things will happen. Yes, everyone wants a big 10 million grant for every project. but that rarely happens. And so every little bit of money helps. So seek all the opportunities that you have. Do not say, oh, this is only $5,000. This is only $10,000. Every little bit helps, and continue to build on every success that you get.
Thank you for that. That's fabulous advice, especially coming from somebody with such experience such as yourself. And I think just lastly, what's the best piece of advice that you could give an individual who is just venturing into the grant realm?
Again, I would say educate yourself, find out what needs to be done. There is a lot of help around. Work with the experts, work with the program officers, find out what the requirements for the grants are. The grant writing is an art. As much as science, it is an art, really. And it is important to know the language that you are using fits with the language of the funding agency. What are their goals? What are they interested in getting out of their funds? And as long as you provide those kinds of promises to them and fulfill those promises, they will continue to fund you. And I think that takes time to develop. That takes time. So be patient. Work with the experts, and continue to expand your horizon, and continue to apply for funding sources.
Fabulous. Well, thank you for sharing all this, Dr. Mahajan. And just for everybody listening, information about his SoapyCilantro program will be in the description of the podcast and/or video. If you are interested in the program, please look into it a little bit more. There'll be more than enough details. And am I correct that you also have video demonstrations on your website as well?
There is a little bit of a video demonstration. There's also pictures of all the training during the training programs, just videos taken during the training programs. And of course, they can always contact me if they have any questions. I'd be happy to talk to anybody.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Dr. Mahajan. And thank you for everybody listening in today.
Thank you also, Preston, for the opportunity to reach out to the listeners and tell my story. And I hope to continue the conversations on other projects as well.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.